Hello and welcome to my kitchen. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make Gulab Jamun, which is a very popular Indian dessert. It's like a donut in a sweet rosy syrup. It's absolutely delicious, and I'm going to share my mother-in-law's recipe, and she makes the best Gulab Jamun and it's super easy and the texture is just perfect. So let's get cooking. So for this recipe, we need pancake mix. Yes, pancake mix. And we tested out, me and my mother-in-law, we tested out 3 different pancake mixes to see which one we liked the best. And the top one was the pearl milling pancake mix. It's the original version of it, and this is available in America. So for all my American viewers, use this one. A very close second was Aunt Bessie's, and this one is available in the UK. So all my UK viewers use this one. And we also tried Krusteaz, which is available in Costco here and the US, but it was okay. The texture just wasn't quite right. It comes out very smooth, but if you have no other option, then Krusteaz works as well, but it's not the best. And if none of these are available, you just have to try out any that are available in your local area. They're the American type of fluffy pancake mix that you need. We're also going to need some full fat milk powder. So usually available in the Indian store. You can use the Nido brand, which is very good, but make sure it's full fat. So these are some of the secrets of my mother-in-law. We're going to make about 14 to 15 Gulab Jamun here. So I'm using a half a cup of the pancake mix, which is about 70 grams. 1 cup of the dry whole milk powder, which is about 75 grams. I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of cardamom powder and a tablespoon of melted ghee. And then we're going to mix this into a soft dough with a 1/4 cup plus about 2 tablespoons of warm water. And we're gonna mix this dough together until it's combined well, but we're not gonna knead it very much. Then we're going to let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes. So while the dough is resting, I'm going to start making the syrup. So I've got a saucepan here, and I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar, granulated sugar, which is about 200 grams. And then we're going to add some water. The water will be just under 1 cup of water. So 1 cup minus 1 tablespoon. And I've started this on a medium-high heat, and we're just going to bring it to the boil. We're not going to cook it any further. Once it comes to a boil and is bubbling, we're going to turn off the heat and we're going to add some rose syrup to this. So now my dough should be ready. My dough has been resting for a few minutes, and you can see how soft the dough is. So we're going to make this into balls, and you want to make them into small balls about the size of a large marble. And you want to make it into a round ball and then just flatten it a bit. And there is a very good reason for this. Because when you're frying it, if you make it into a round ball like this, it just keeps turning and turning in the oil. Whereas if you flatten it a little bit, you can flip it this way and you can flip it this way in the oil. So that's a wonderful tip my mother-in-law gave. So we're going to make these into about 14, 15, 16 balls. My syrup is coming to a boil, and I just want to give it a stir so that all this sugar melts. Now you can see it's come to a boil, so we're going to turn it off. And I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of rose essence. You can add a little bit more. It just depends on the strength of the rose essence that you have. So I'm just going to mix that in. And then this is just going to sit there until we're ready to put the balls in here. So to fry the gulab jamun balls, you actually only need a little bit of oil. So I've got about an inch of oil in this small little pan. And actually this is, if you're Indian, this is a vagaru. It's a little pan that we do tempering in. And I have this, it's a great size for this. Or you can use a small saucepan and just heat up about an inch of oil. That's all you're going to need. So the heat on this is very important. You don't want the oil to be too hot, otherwise the balls will fry and become brown on the outside and be really dense and hard on the inside. You want a good, low, consistent heat, and you may have to adjust the heat while you're frying them. So while I'm making the balls, I'm actually going to turn on the heat for the oil on a medium to low heat. Now you're also going to need a metal strainer, because what we're going to do is once we've fried the balls, we're going to take them out into the metal strainer so that any excess oil can be removed. This is actually better than taking it out onto a paper towel and a plate, because then whatever you're frying actually ends up sitting in the oil on the paper towel. So we're actually going to remove them to a metal strainer. This is a tip that my mother-in-law gave. She's got so many good tips, so I'm going to start using this one on all my fried foods now. So to check if the oil is done, we're going to throw in a small piece of the dough, and there you go. Actually, that is perfect. It went in and it rose. It's not too hot. So I'm going to put in a couple of these flattened balls carefully. So I'm going to fry 4 at a time. And when you're frying them, you're just going to leave them. You will need a teaspoon to turn them over. I'm actually going to turn the heat down a little bit so that they don't brown too quickly. You see how they rose to the top? So once they rise to the top, then you want to just turn them over. And the reason you use a teaspoon and not a fork is because you don't want to make holes in there. So we're going to just let these fry on a low heat. You can keep adjusting the heat if the oil seems to be too hot, but just keep tossing them over and over. You see how you can actually toss them? And that's because we made them into a flat shape. If we had them round, it will be very difficult to make them stay on one side. So you really want to make sure that they cook on the inside. You can even turn the heat off. If you feel that the oil is too hot, turn it off for a little bit and then turn it back on. There we go, they're coming along really nicely, and you'll see how they almost become balls once they're completely fried. So you're looking for a lovely like chocolate color. These are not quite done yet. See, this one is done, so I'm going to remove that into my strainer. Now they're all done, so I'm going to carefully take them out into my strainer. We're going to add some more. And you let it sit in the strainer so that the cooking process can complete. Now, if the oil temperature is too low, then what will happen is these balls will soak up too much oil. So you don't want it too low either. And we're leaving the balls in here, you might have noticed, because they need to cool down a little bit. In fact, you can let them cool down completely as long as your syrup is warm. But if you put your hot balls into hot syrup, you'll get like, I don't know, they just become a really funny shape. It just does not look right. So these need to cool for about 10-15 minutes before you put them into the syrup. And your syrup has to be the right consistency, because if your syrup is too watery, your gulab jamun will be like soft and soggy, and you don't want that too. So I've given you the perfect measurements here, or my mother-in-law has, so definitely follow these instructions. Now, as I am on my last batch, I'm gonna put in some of the balls that I fried in the beginning. They're just warm to the touch, so they can go into the syrup and start soaking up some of that lovely rose syrup. And if they still feel too hot, just let these cool down a bit. Then you can toss these in the syrup so that they soak it up. You can see that these balls are soaking up the syrup and growing in size, which is exactly what you want to see. The following day, you'll see that the gulab jamun have soaked up all of the syrup, and they've actually puffed up a little bit. So there's barely any syrup left. So this amount of syrup is perfect. Wow, don't they look amazing? So you can see how easy it is to make these gulab jamun, and they're so delicious. You won't be disappointed. So definitely follow all the tips that my mother-in-law has given, like using a metal strainer to take them out, and using a spoon to turn them over, making the shape a little bit flatter, not completely round, so you can turn them while they're frying. And the temperature of the oil is definitely very, very important. You don't want to fry them on a high heat because the center will remain hard. Also, the gulab jamun need to soak in the syrup for a good amount of time. So if you're having a party or anything, it's always best to make it the day before. In fact, you can make it 2 to 3 days before and they'll be completely fine. They last outside of the refrigerator for about 3 to 4 days. You can make them ahead, pop them in a plastic container and freeze it, and then just defrost at room temperature. They'll be so good. And then if you want them warm, just pop them in the microwave for a few seconds. So make sure that you let the gulab jamun soak in the syrup, and the syrup consistency is very important as well, because if it's too thick, the gulab jamun will not be able to take up the syrup. If it's too thin, the whole thing will be watery, your balls will be soggy, and the syrup will be watery. So I've given you the perfect measurements, and there you go. You have to give this a try. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you all soon for some more cooking inspiration.